my name is Crystal, and in today's video, I'm going to take you through the process of putting together my story number 6 in my December Daily 2021 album. Story 6 is about the home decor that I have set up and around our house so far this year. When I tell my home decor stories in my December daily albums throughout the years, I have always picked a shape in order to create an insert page that has a particular shape to it. In the past, I've done circles, hexagon, I did a triangle, and then this year I chose to work with the star shape. So what you're going to see in both the foundation portion of this layout and in the final portion of this layout, putting together the rest of the story, I actually have this insert here where it's half a star that opens to a full star, closes back to another half star, and then we have this brick type layout here that goes with the story. So this is what we're going to be working on. First, I'm going to take you through the foundation portion, so what I created prior to the start of December, and then we're going to walk through the completion of this story. Once everything is done, I will slow you back down, bring you back to real time, and read through my journaling for you. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into the process. Getting started with the foundation page for story number 6, I knew that I was going to talk about the decorations that I was putting up around our house. And every year when I do this project, I always put in some kind of shaped page where you have half the shape, and then when you open it up, you have the full shape, and then there's another half that closes. In the past, I've done lots of different types of shapes, and this year I landed on the idea of making a star-shaped page. So that is where a lot of the inspiration for the design of this page comes from. Then another thing that I like to do is look through my stash of items and find things that I have a grouping of. And in this case, I have these 3 by 2 inch story cards from last year, the 2020 December Daily mini star kit. And I never used them last year. There were 10 of them total. And I thought, why not just use all of them on one page and make this almost look like a brick wall sort of feel behind this shaped star page. And so that's where I'm going to go with this particular story. When I was thinking about the different things, the different steps that I could take to help prepare this page as the foundation for later when I actually put it together, the one thing I knew I could do was to create the foundation or the outline portion of the star page. So for one half of it, for the entry into the story, I knew I wanted to cover it with the dark black with the colored star pattern on top, that pattern paper. I believe that was in the add-on paper kit from the December Daily collection this year. So I took half of the star. This was a digital element from the die cut pages, I believe. There was one that had a star on it, and I actually just trimmed it a little bit closer to the center so that when I put 2 of them next to each other, it would form a full star. So I printed the half piece there and then traced it on the back side of the pattern paper. So this way I can go ahead and cut that out, and then that is going to be the basis for half of that page. Then I traced the other half onto a piece of plain white cardstock. It's textured on one side and smooth on the other side. So what I'm going to do is eventually, you'll see, draw some lines on the back side of the second piece, the textured white cardstock, and that is going to become a home for my story later. A lot of times when I know I'm going to write with my own handwriting, I like to add my lines first so that I can make sure that my handwriting stays pretty consistent size-wise across the entire thing. That to me, it just feels a little bit better when I know that my writing's going to be fairly consistent in that way. So you'll see me do that a little bit later. Now, one of the things I started to feel with the pattern portion here, I felt like the edges were unfinished, and it just gave it kind of it gave it a homemade feel, but in a way that I didn't particularly like. So I went through my stash of washi and found this piece of gold glitter washi, and I actually had just enough to make it around all of those edges. So I was able to completely use up that little roll and get this really pretty gold outline on the outside of that star. So now I'm really liking how this is going to look. Next, I'm going to lay out these story cards just to get an idea of where it's all going to go, but I actually will not adhere those down until later because I'm not 100% sure at this point in time if those are going to hold additional photos or words, or if they're going to be interactive flip-ups, or I wasn't totally sure yet what that was going to be, and I figured I could just wait on that and make those decisions when I had the photos to document later. So now I've got the two pieces of the star ready to go. Here's where I'm going to add my journaling lines. I'm just using my black journaling pen from scrapbook.com. That right now has got to be my favorite journaling pen. I like the consistency of the ink. I like the blackness of the ink, and I also like that it's a felt tip. There's something about felt tip pens that I really prefer that with my handwriting. So I've got the lines all ready to go for when I'm ready to tell this story. I am going to go ahead and hole punch it. So I'm just doing my best to line up my template here so that I can get 5 out of the 6 holes punched into the star. Later on, I'll actually use my power punch to punch holes back through those holes because I'll cover some of them up with a photo. My idea is to make the pattern paper side where my number will be held, and then to have one photo that spans across the whole star there on the inside, and then the back side will hold some journaling. So then the brick wall, I'm thinking, will likely be a combination of photos and words, but I thought that it was possible it might just all be photos. It just would depend how much I was able to get decorated in my house by the time this story rolled around. To finish off this foundation page, I'm adding a number 6. This is an acrylic piece that I had gotten from, actually it might be chipboard. It's either chipboard or acrylic, but it was from Felicity Jane, and it's a really, really old set of numbers. I have looked up to see if they are still in stock, and they are no longer in stock. But they were part of this like chipboard number set. I want to say it was from a collection or from the line called Zoe, I believe. So it was like a birthday theme, and some of them are multicolored with like pink, but a lot of them were black and white and work really great for December Daily. So now we're going to flash forward and go to the day that I actually put this one together. So the first thing I did was to crop a bunch of my photos to fit inside of those story cards. The sizing for that was roughly 3 inches wide by 1.5 inches tall. So they're going to be really short and long, which allowed me to get some different angles on some of the decor items I have set up in my house right now, and that was kind of fun. Then I created this star by taking that digital star element from the die cut pack, and I trimmed off a portion of the star so that I would get it directly in the middle, and then took 2 of those and put them together, merged those layers together, and that gave me the full star. And then I was able to clip my photo into the star in order to use it here in my layout. Now, I totally could have just printed a full page photo, like a 6 by 8 inch photo, and then stuck that down onto the star and cut that out. The beauty in doing something like this, where you're clipping the photo into the exact shape that you want it to be in, is it allows you to position the photo exactly where you want it to be. There's no guesswork involved. So that is why I chose to do it the way that I chose to do it. On the brick here, this brick wall, I'm putting that in air quotes that you can't see, but this brick wall, what I have done is I have printed 6 different photos of 6 different things around the house that I am decorating with currently, and I'm going to add those into the white spot for the story cards. That will leave me with 4 story cards there that are blank that I'm going to add some lines and then handwrite some journaling in there. I won't handwrite that journaling here on camera, but you will see it in the photos at the end of this video or on the blog post that goes along with this video, with this process video. So I will adhere 6 of the photos in, trim off a little bit of the excess. The other ones I'm going to hand draw some lines in for journaling. And then there are 2 that have the darker gray color across the top that I'm actually going to adhere down in 2 different spots. And that's going to help me fill in the entire page with those shapes. So you'll see me do that here in just a second. I am going to show you here on film how I did the first 2 rows so you can see how I got that all positioned in order to make everything fit on the page. And then I will skip ahead for the second 2 rows, figuring you don't need to see the exact same thing a bunch of times. It's, beating a dead horse, right? So one of the things I will mention is that the gray piece that I put on just now is over top of the holes to put this back inside of my album. That one, and I will have another one in the 3rd row on this page, I'm not going to add anything into that. I'm not going to put any lines or journaling or photos or anything. I'm just going to leave it blank because so much of it is going to be hole punched that it won't matter anyway. But I did want to have the repeated shape there and to have that gray piece across the top. So it gives this a more completed feeling when we get all of the sections filled in. For the top row and the 3rd row, I wanted to make sure that 2 of those story cards were fully on the page. So I've got the red one and the green one that are totally on there. Then for the 2nd row and the 4th row, I'm going to line up the black one there in the middle of the 2 at the top. So that gives me a 3rd story card that's fully on the page. And then I'm going to add the 2 other story cards on the left and on the right that are overhanging the page. And then I'll just trim those off in order to make this fit the page. That allowed me to have the extra little piece of gray to put up in the 1st row and then again in the 3rd row down at the bottom. For some of them, I do trim a little bit off of the photo before sticking it down on the story card just to ensure that the portion of the photo I actually wanted to have documented is on the page. So like, for example, this one with the little artwork there, I trimmed it down so that the full piece of artwork was on the page and like just a little bit of my fingers, and the rest of my hand I'll cut off because that doesn't matter as much to me. So here is this. We're going to flip it over and trim off those edges, and then that's going to be the first 2 rows. The second one, or I should say the 3rd row and the 4th row, I do exactly the same, as you can see right here. We'll trim that off, and then that is going to complete this part of the layout for now, because I will go ahead and draw in some lines as well. Actually, we're going to do that right now. So to draw the lines in, I'm going to take my metal ruler and just do my best to eyeball these lines and make them as evenly spaced as possible. And then I'll use that same black journaling pen that I did earlier to go, all the way across those story cards. And then here's where you can see the 4 that I'm going to add my journaling to a little bit later. Last but not least, I need to re-add my hole punches into this page since I covered some of them up with those story cards. And then that full page piece is done. And all I have left to do is finish up this middle star piece. So first what I did was cut the star out of the photo. So now, that is good and ready to go. I'm going to add some adhesive onto the back of the portion that's holding my number, and then we'll stick that onto the back of the photo and trim the photo in half. This is going to help me gauge exactly where to put everything. And again, because I used the half piece there to create my full template, it's going to fit exactly right when I go and piece this together. Now I will have to re-hole punch this again, and the only downside to adding my number on there during the foundation part is now I can no longer put that half of the star into my hole punch, my 6-hole punch. So instead, I'm going to grab over my power punch to repunch the holes. That way I'm still able to put this into my album. And, one of the other benefits to using a power punch tool instead of the 6-hole punch is the holes are slightly bigger, so it makes it a tiny bit easier to flip the pages inside of the book. So here's where you can see the 2 photos are now adhered, or the 1 photo is adhered onto the 2 parts of the star. This is where I'll go ahead and add my hole punches back in, and now this piece is ready to go inside of my album as well. So I'm going to go ahead and bring my album over here so we can put the brick page and the star pages into the album. And then I'm going to decide that I actually want to add some tabs onto the star just to make it a little bit easier to turn and to also signify that there are 2 halves of that star. So I'll put the first one on the top portion of the jet out triangle there, and then I'll put the second one on the underside of that same point. So when this is closed, you'll see the 2 tabs flanking that point of the star. I will also go and grab some tiny phrase stickers and put those into the tabs, as you can see there. And then I'm going to debate one last thing here, which is adding a chipboard piece or some kind of embellishment into the photo in the star. But ultimately, I will decide I like it better blank because I like being able to see the view behind the portion of the table that I took a picture of there. So I'll try out a couple of different things and then ultimately decide I just like it better without any embellishments on it. And sometimes staying simple is the best choices we can make, right? So anyway, I'll take that off and then we will call this layout done. All right, friends, well, that finishes my layout for today. I hope you enjoyed seeing how this one came together. If you did, I would love a thumbs up on this video down below, and be sure to hit that subscribe button if you haven't already so you can catch all of my future crafty videos as well. Let's go ahead and dive into the story associated to this layout. So as you saw, we've got the number 6 here on the front side. The photo is just a photo on the inside. I didn't embellish it or put anything in there. And then I've got writing on the back of the star first. For this one, I wrote, "I don't know what's up with me this year, but I'm having a hard time getting into the mood to decorate the house. I finally cleaned, got the dining table set up, and put some decor and stockings on the fireplace. It feels a lot better and much more like Christmas around here. This week, I'm hoping to get the fake tree set up in Aaron's office, and we are finally going to go get our main real tree. I hope next year I'll be able to have my mom come and help me. It's hard to know where to start with a new home. We will do what we can. Okay, so then, pulling that out. Then over on the brick side, I've got journaling associated to specific photos. So this journaling goes to the photo of this Mexican blanket that I have draped over my couch. This one I said, for years now, I've wanted to get a Mexican blanket for our house. They are so warm and pretty. I was so happy to find one in Mexico this November and got it in red so I could display it. Which I ran out of room, but so I could display it for Christmas is probably how I would have ended that if I had a little bit more room. Next, I have a picture of this like little art piece from Target and then my Claus and Company milk crate. For this, I said, I love adding a few pieces of Christmas decor each year. These 2 pieces are older ones that I super love. Then I've got a top-down picture or viewpoint of my dining table. This one I said, when shopping at Target this year, I impulse decided to buy a new set of plates and cups for our holiday table settings. Bonus, they are plastic, so the kids won't break them. Such a win. And then down at the bottom, I have a picture of the tree in my studio, which I don't really talk about at all. The story that I have next goes to these 2 gold reindeer decorations that I have currently sitting on my fireplace mantle. These 2 gold deer are one of my favorite decorations. They used to be Grandma and Grandpa's, and I can remember the table and bowl of candy they sat by. So those, yep, I inherited from my grandparents. All right, friends. Well, that is going to do it for today. I am going to be back again tomorrow working on story number 7. So hopefully I will see you back here then. Until then, I hope you have a fantastic rest of your day, and I will catch you in the next video. Bye, friends.